Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a really long time since I've filmed a video, but it's been a really busy holiday season and I'm trying to get back into the swing of things here in 2022. So I'm here and we are going to do makeup. I have a new way of doing my makeup that I've really been loving, where I utilize both 3D foundation makeup and Demi Colour makeup. And the whole way I like to go about doing this is it's more of like a hybrid method where I'm not actually going to use any foundation or concealer like you would traditionally think of it. I'm going to use Demi Colour to do those things. So I'm going to use my 3D makeup to add color and dimension and contour and things like that. And then I'm going to sort of filter away the things remaining about my face that bother me with my Demi Colour. So I'm going to show you how I incorporate those two makeup lines to do one full face. I have all my makeup that I'm going to be using right here in my palette. On the top row here, I have contour and then some bronzer. And then right here, I actually have another shade of bronzer that I'm going to use as a blush, multi-purpose. And then I have my brows here. I have my brow color and my brow wax. And then right here is some Illuminator. And then on the bottom row, I have the rest of my colors. So I have some Demi Colour shades right here. I have some eyeshadows. I'm gonna do a quick eyeshadow look and just some powder for some areas that might get a little shiny. And that's it. I have all my makeup just in one palette. Okay, so we're gonna dive right in and get started. What I've started doing is taking a lot of the techniques and philosophy that I've learned from doing my face with Demi Colour, and I'm going to be applying that to the entire makeup look today. So I'm going to start with adding color, creating dimension, bronzing, that kind of thing. Like, I'm going to add those things first, and I'm gonna ignore all the things about my face that bother me, like my dark under eyes right here, and like the redness around my nose, or like, you know, little age spots and melasma, things like that. I'm gonna just pretend I don't see those, and I'm just gonna start with adding color. So I'm going to start with my contour right here. This is Ash. So I have my detail brush right here. This is a really great flat kabuki style brush for doing contouring. So I'm just gonna dip that into Ash. And I'm just gonna contour like I normally would. Just tapping that underneath my cheekbone, keeping most of the color back here towards my ear, and then fading it out as it gets closer to the center of my face, just hugging underneath that cheekbone. Always placing my contour higher rather than too low. I do the same on the other side. Just giving it a little tap. There, now I have cheekbones. I'm gonna contour around my forehead as well. So I'm just gonna bring that here, all along my hairline. I'm gonna flip my brush around and use the smaller side of my detail brush. I'm gonna dip that in my contour, and I'm gonna contour my nose a little bit. So I'm just going to swipe some contour down the corners of my nose, I always like to say. So a little bit on the top of my nose and a little bit on the sides here, just to define it. I've really noticed from doing my Demi Colour makeup that I have like some green on my nose right here that creates some weird colors. So I like to take my contour now and just kind of color correct that and get rid of that. Just making my nose look slimmer. And then what I like to do is take a little bit on my brush here and put some underneath the tip of my nose. And this will make my nose look a little bit shorter, more petite, and it really just defines the tip. And then I'm gonna take some more contour and I'm gonna put that underneath my bottom lip. So I'm done with my contour. Now I'm gonna add some bronzer a little bit. I'm gonna use Bella bronzer right here. It's a really great medium neutral tone bronzer. It works really great on so many skin tones. I'm using my blush and bronzer brush, and I'm just gonna use the fluffy side. So I'm just going to take that and fluff that all over my forehead, anywhere where the sun would give me color. Just trying to add a sheer wash of warmth. I would normally be doing this with my neutral orange Demi Colour, but this has the same effect. All right, so that's it for now. I'm not gonna do blush or anything. I'm going to move on to correcting and filtering away distractions with my Demi Colour shades. So let's get started with that. So with my Demi Colour shades, I'm gonna start with all this redness around my nose. This really drives me bonkers. It's broken capillaries and just general redness. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start with this really bright neon orange shade. This is OY1. So it's an orangey yellow shade. I'm gonna take my bright brush, this little side here. I'm just gonna get some of that orange. And I'm just going to lightly, and I'm putting this anywhere where I see purpley blue. And that's typically like above my nostril right here and like in the crease of my nostril right here. I'm just doing like a very light wash of color, and really what I'm doing is just erasing that purpley blue that I'm seeing. Anything dark on your face that you see that's really obvious has some blue in it, so it's pretty typical to use some orange to filter that away. So I'm not trying to apply this yellow-orange color so that you see it. Really, it should be invisible after it's applied. It should just erase the color that I don't want to see, and it should just look like that. Okay. Now I'm going to take the same brush and I'm going to go into this one. This is GY1. It's yellow, but it basically has just a little bit of a green tint to it. So I'm going to take some of that and I'm going to get any remaining like real redness, anything that looks like excess violet, excess red, just very lightly, very lightly. It should look more like you're wiping away the redness or the blemish or whatever you're trying to hide. I'm not trying to cover it with makeup. I'm just trying to change the color that we're seeing with a little bit of a tint. Just getting rid of this redness. This is actually the thing that covers the redness around my nose the best because it gets rid of that redness without adding any extra makeup texture that can like crease in your nostril throughout the day. It's so annoying. So I'm done with that. Let's tackle the under eyes because that's the thing that most people really want to cover with concealer, but I'm not going to use concealer today. I'm just going to use a teeny tiny bit of Demi Colour and you're going to see what a huge difference it makes. And I really prefer doing my under eyes with this method because whenever I put a bunch of concealer or a bunch of makeup under my eyes, it just looks thick and heavy and it makes my under eyes look dry. And especially if you set with powder, it can really look cakey and dry and like it'll crease and it's a mess. It can look fine, but after you see what your under eyes look like using Demi Colour, where it just looks fresh and iridescent and like real skin, you can't go back. You can't go back after you do this. So I'm gonna use my spot brush for pretty much the rest of my Demi, pretty sure. So it's the teeniest, tiniest brush, and that's what you want. So I'm gonna start with orange. This is 01. And what I'm really trying to do is get rid of the excess blue under my eyes that creates the look of shadow. So if you look, I have some, it really is obvious when I tilt my head down. So I'm gonna do that so you can see it. Do you see this darkness right here in the crease of my under eye here? And then there's like a capillary that goes here. There's like some capillaries right here and on the outer corner of my eye. And like, especially like right here, there's a vein, you can see it. I'm gonna be very specific with where I place my colors and I'm just gonna use orange. I'm just gonna use 01. And so what I'm gonna do is just very lightly apply this 01 only where I see that darkness, like the darkest points. And I really like focusing in this crease here because it'll make it look like I don't have a bag there anymore. It'll like sort of play a trick on the eye. Look at that. God, it never gets old, I swear. So, and I'm just using the other side of my brush to just lightly fluff the edges to make sure that it's blended, but yeah, I mean, that's good. Call it good. Take a little bit more of that and I'm just gonna get a few little dark spots that I have hanging out over here and like in this corner. And then I'm also going to get that vein in the inner corner as well. So right here. And I'm only putting this color where I need it. And I'm just kind of blending as I go. It's such a tiny amount of product, teeny tiny. Now, Doesn't this look so much better than this side? This side looks so much better than this side. And it just looks natural. It looks so fresh. Okay, I'm gonna do the other eye real quick. Okay, I'm happy with that. I feel like it looks brighter and just more awake looking. And since it's such a light layer of product and it's so specifically placed, like it's not going to move. I don't need to use powder to set it. You can if you want to, but I just like the more dewy look because it looks more like real skin. So I'm just gonna leave it like that, I think. I'm gonna cover up or hide, I'm gonna hide one more thing. I'm going to take some pink and address this melasma on my forehead. So I'm going to be using this one right here. This is R1. It's basically pink. So melasma, hyperpigmentation, age spots, all those kinds of things in the skin can look brown to the eye, but really what it is excess green because it's more of like an earthy, muddy brown. And that's a green brown, if that makes sense. So using pink is very effective. I have to use a mirror. I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. Looks good. See, now you can't see my melasma. And I know one of the hesitations with Demi Colour for people is that they feel like they have so many things to hide and it would take forever to spot treat every single spot. But really what you need to do is just focus on the most obvious ones, the darkest ones. And then once you get rid of those, the rest of it kind of just looks better. Like now I just look at it, just getting rid of those few spots and I'm happy with how my forehead looks. So it's really so minimal, and once you get the hang of it and once you're comfortable with it, it's just so fast and easy. I can do this really fast if I need to. I know it looks very intricate and this video is probably going to be longer, but I can do this fast. Okay, now I'm just going to touch up a few like little age spots and like hyperpigmentation things that I have just kind of around my face that I just want to hide a little bit more. This is just an extra step to really make it look flawless. I'm just using the same color. I'm just using pink and see how, if I do it underneath my contour like that, it really makes the contour pop more. I have a couple little like red, teeny tiny little blemishes, but I'm just gonna take a little bit of that green yellow shade that I used and I'm just gonna erase them just because I can. I just really want that more flawless look. All right, the last thing. So something specifically about my face that bothers me is I have a lot of hyperpigmentation around my mouth. It's almost like in this horseshoe shape around my upper lip and like down here. And I think a lot of it is just blood supply under my skin. It looks very greenish yellow here. I don't know if you can see that. And that's something that my foundation would normally cover up, but I want to tone that down a bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tone it. So I'm gonna take my pink again, this is R1, and I'm gonna use the fluffy side of my spot brush. I'm just gonna get a teeny tiny bit of that. Very lightly do a wash of color over these areas. And so really what I'm doing is I'm not applying a lot of product to the skin, so you won't see anything on my skin, but it's toning and filtering the color you're seeing through it. So it's just gonna remove that yellowy green color that I have. just makes me look a little sallow. So adding a little bit of pink just really corrects it, fixes it. And this won't crease or anything, and you won't even see it on my skin. But I just love how it just changes my coloring a little bit. Okay, that's pretty much it for like the complexion aspect of this. I'm gonna move on and add some blush. I'm actually going to use a bronzer. This is Heatwaves bronzer. It's a really beautiful bronzer for darker skin tones, but I actually just really like using it as a blush. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna use my blush and bronzer brush. I'm just gonna tap into that a little bit. And then I'm just gonna dot that on my cheekbone. It just adds a really pretty like terracotta warmth to my cheek. Okay, and now I'm gonna take some pearl highlighter. It's just like a pearlescent cream shade like you would think. I'm just gonna tap that on with my finger on the top of my cheekbone to really just give that glow. See? I'm gonna add some of that to the tip of my nose, down the center of my nose, and then the upper lip. Okay, we're gonna do a really fast eye look, really fast. So, first thing I'm gonna do is use my brow wax right here. So I'm gonna take my Seint setting spray and I'm just going to put a couple drops there. I like using a disposable spoolie so that I don't get my other spoolie full of wax. So I'm just swirling it in there, getting it full of the product. This is a little bit backwards from how I usually do things. I usually fill them in first, but today I'm gonna do the wax first. Who am I? I really wanna do a minimal brow, and so I feel like by doing this first, you don't need to do as much because it already just looks so groomed. Now I'm going to use my line brush and I'm going to use Cola Contour to fill in my brows wherever there's any bare spots. All right, we're gonna do a really fast eye look now. So I have my eyeshadow brush, I'm gonna use the fluffy side, and I'm gonna start with right here, the shade Bird. It's my favorite, I use it all the time. You know this, I have to. I just really love putting that in the crease. So I'm just going to really fast windshield wiper back and forth in the crease with Bird. And then I'm actually going to take this shade right here. You can see it. This is called Aries. It's a really iridescent. It's like almost even hard to get on the camera, but it's like a champagne iridescence. It almost has like a yellow gold. I just realized I used the wrong brush. This is not the eyeshadow brush. This is my Demi Colour brush. So this is the one I should have been using. It's fine. Okay. So I'm gonna take some Aries with the small side of that brush. And I'm just gonna highlight a little bit on my brow bone and the inner corners of my eyes. Okay, now I'm gonna use this shade Labyrinth. It's like a medium brown shade, but it's really earthy and has a little bit of a green to it. And I'm just gonna use that to darken up the outer corner of my eye just a little bit. And then I'm gonna take that same shade and put it on the lower lash line. You can flip it around and use the fluffy side just to blend the edges if you want. easy. And then I'm just going to take my pinky finger, and this shade right here, this is Riviera. This is one of my faves. It's like a bronzy gold shimmer shade, metallic shade. I'm just going to put that on my pinky and just put it all over the lid. Okay, that's it. No, it's not. I need something on my lips. I actually think I'm just gonna pop on some La Cienega because it's my favorite for my lips. It's this one right here. It's like a mauvey medium pink shade, but it has gold to it. Do you see it right here? It's so hard to show on camera, but it's glossy and I really like it for my lips. So I'm just gonna tap some of that on. Okay, that's it. That's the final look. I really love doing this because I feel like I'm not wearing a lot of makeup. Like I have my contour and blush and some bronzer on, but other than that, it feels like it's mostly just my bare skin, which I love. I don't feel like I need to use powder or setting spray or anything like that. It just feels really light and natural, especially like under my eyes and stuff. But it's a really great way to incorporate Demi into your regular makeup routine instead of using a lot of heavy foundation. And nothing color corrects like Demi. Nothing brightens your under eyes with no makeup texture like Demi. Like you just can't go wrong with those shades. And I know it's a little difficult to get the hang of in the beginning, but once you do, it's so easy. If you need help choosing your colors or needing help choosing Demi colors to address the specific skin things that you want to deal with and you need help building your palette, you can fill out my color match form and I will send you my personalized recommendations right to your email and I can help you build your palette if you need it. So if you have any questions, let me know, but thank you so much for hanging out with me today, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.